Stockton became home to thousands escaping the violence in Cambodia. Savannah Karts is one of them.
My son just say, "Mom, write your story." I say, "I can't, son, because when I start writing, I have a nightmare at night, and I cry. I can't. It's too painful, so I don't even talk about it."
As a refugee, she came to Stockton in 1984 because of the large population of Cambodians, also known as Khmer. In 1960, the Communist Party of Cambodia, popularly known as Khmer Rouge, was formed. By the early 1970s, the Khmer Rouge was able to take control of large parts of Cambodia.
Unfortunately, the Khmer Rouge really evolved into an extremely xenophobic and classist and, in popular memory, genocidal regime. And between 1975 and 1980, there was what's known as the Cambodian genocide.
In the eyes of the Khmer Rouge, those who were a potential threat, like the educated, became the enemy and were killed.
My family, we have a lot of people, 100, so 30 died. They're all educated. Because my family come from educated family. My uncle is the professor, my aunt, so they killed both of them.
Savannah hid the fact she was going to college. In Cambodia, did you have to pretend that you weren't educated?
I do not know anything.
To survive, she was forced to marry her husband at 20 years old.
I almost killed, but because I forced to marry my husband, who not a Khmer, but he is a low level, or he like poor. So they put him in high. Everyone poor, they promote them. They're not educated, they promote them. That's why a lot of people kill.
While pregnant, Savannah, her husband, and her other child crossed the border to Thailand by trading gold for a guide to help them escape.
We run and walk,
While you're 7 months pregnant?
Yes. No shoe.
No shoes?
Yeah, like in the forest. And we do not know because we trust the guy. People, the guy us.
By the early 1980s, the U.S. put resources into a refugee resettlement program that brought people like Savannah and her family from Thailand to the United States. That program identified Stockton as one of several cities that a large Southeast Asian community would be able to settle successfully.
When we came, we don't speak English. Many which already even know their own language, they don't know how to read and write.
When they arrived in Stockton, many Khmer lived in these apartments called Park Village. She says the buildings in the neighborhood were dangerous.
They came here, they thought that here is safe for the kid. They brought them because of the health expectation that they're going to be safe and they can have a new life, a new home, and higher education for the kid.
The apartments became in such disrepair, the city had planned to condemn the complex. Savannah became the voice to advocate for better living conditions.
So when they need to the court, I speak broken English, but I don't care. As long as the word I say, when the message is goes to that person.
After the apartment complex went under foreclosure, Savannah, along with 35 other refugee families, were able to purchase it from the Housing and Urban Development for $1 in 1993 and learned how to fix it up. But housing wasn't their only hardship. Not only were the refugees still processing the trauma of leaving the Khmer Rouge, they were impacted by another tragedy in Stockton, the Cleveland school shootings.
And in 1989, unfortunately, a white supremacist who harbored a lot of ill will and resentment towards Asian American communities and diaspora communities, drove past Cleveland School and opened fire. And it was really one of the first major mass school shootings in United States history.
5 students between the ages of 6 and 9 were killed. 4 were Khmer. This was the tipping point for Khmer in Stockton. 35 refugee families, including Savannah, came together to start Asian Pacific Self-Development and Residential Association to help people facing economic hardships, trauma, and even offer programs for adults and kids. The organization, also known as Apsara, has expanded in 30 years and offers educational and health classes as well as teen and senior programs. They serve 2,500 people just in the Stockton area. Today, Stockton has one of the largest populations of Khmer in the country, but some of their stories are untold. It's painful, especially for the older generations who remember the war.
I say, when you lost one person live here, you lost one story. Each individual have their own story.
Now the younger generations are striving for a brighter future. Some are entrepreneurs, educators, and lifelong advocates. They share a commitment to one another and a place that gave them and their families a second chance. In Stockton, there is a sense of pride. For Cambodian Americans, you can see it through their work.
How long did it take to do all the statues here?
I beginning from the Buddha was born over there until 2001 until 2010, 9 years.
We're at Wat Damararam Buddhist Temple. In 1997, Venerable Kong Tith came to Stockton from Cambodia to make these statues. It's all paid for through donations.
What does this place mean for you?
Yeah, so for me and Nanda and my family, this place is the seat of the Cambodian American community in Stockton. My family and I, we came here in 1985, and from that point on, I remembered coming here as a little girl.
So Feline and her family spent most of their time at the temple. She volunteered here and witnessed the large New Year's celebrations every year that would attract tens of thousands. This place is where they can celebrate, pray, and even grieve.
And there's a sense of togetherness and community. And you come here when you're suffering, you come here when you're happy.
Throughout Stockton, you can see the impact of Cambodians who also go by Khmer. At Elisa's kitchen, Elisa Sok tries to honor her roots through food.
So how did you think of all your flavors?
Most of my food is influenced by my mom, my grandma, and also the elderly that I grew up with.
She came to Stockton at 4 years old.
You know, we didn't have that much money growing up. Like I say, you know, they were on the welfare system. It was basically surviving day by day.
She says as a child, her parents didn't celebrate holidays or even birthdays.
I remember the first time we celebrated birthday was celebrating my sister's birthday, where my grandpa and I, we went to the Dollar Tree store and buy the cake mix, where we bake the cake ourselves. So it's a little touchy, you know, because, but now, you know, that I'm a parent, so my kids, they have everything. So we celebrate birthday, Christmas, Thanksgiving, every holiday. Because growing up, I didn't have that. You know, I feel proud of our history, because if you know Cambodian history about the genocide, you know, most of our educators were executed because of their, you know, education and so forth. And that's why it's hard for us to strive here in the United States, because most of us that's here were like farmers. Like my parents are farmers. They don't have like a high education. So growing up to be successful, it's very small chance.
You'll find many Khmer starting a business as an opportunity. Chandra Som owns 2 businesses, a salon and this donut shop that she opened last year. She's been in Stockton for 40 years.
Pretty much close and everybody know everybody.
Stockton has one of the largest populations of Khmer in the country. In the 1980s, the U.S. put resources into a refugee resettlement program and identified Stockton as one of the cities that a large Southeast Asian community would be able to settle successfully. Over the years, Khmer-owned businesses have helped them bring a piece of Cambodia to Stockton.
This is very Cambodian. Smoked fish, we call it trai cha. It's basically little baby fish that are dried and basically smoked, and they're so crunchy. You usually eat them with like a mango salad.
These businesses and the temple help keep their culture alive here. But there's a concern that the presence of their culture in Stockton may diminish.
As our elders get older, a lot of us, my generation, we don't want to carry on what our parents did, you know? And so I think that is a challenge, especially for the next generation of, say, the supermarkets or maybe the restaurants or maybe a seamstress, right? Like, who are they gonna pass the craft to, or the trade, right?
Even though many have left, like Sophaline, for other opportunities, many still come back to Stockton often because it's home. What do you hope for Stockton and the Cambodian community here?
Such a profound question. I think I'm definitely very hopeful. I'm very inspired by just the elders that we have who've paved the way. Because if they didn't build the temple, or they didn't build the small businesses here, we wouldn't have anything in Ananda. I feel like right now it's up to my generation.